Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Augustine here. Today I want to tell you why you should beware of the sophists. Who are the sophists? The sophists were prominent figures in classical Athens and professionals of the world. They were not interested in the search for truth. Instead, they were interested in selling knowledge that was profitable and aligned with the structure of power. The sophist was a well-paid, prominent figure who skillfully used words to generate consensus. In fact, the sophist was a juggler of words, using them as tools to generate agreement. In Plato's dialogues, the sophist is depicted as a shadowy figure, focused on appearance, doxa in Greek, rather than essence. Why am I telling you this? Because apparently Neil Druckmann, best known for his work on the game franchises Uncharted and The Last of Us, is now being called a philosopher by the Los Angeles Times. So along with the giants of human thought like Plato, Aristotle, Averroes, Kant, Heidegger, Nietzsche, and Hegel, we now have Neil Druckmann, a guy who worked on some nice games and can now sniff his own farts more often than before. Why is he being called a philosopher? The article presents Neil Druckmann as a philosopher due to his focus on creating games that are steeped in story and character, with narratives that revolve around philosophical themes and moral dilemmas. His work on The Last of Us is highlighted for its exploration of complex human relationships, emotional vulnerability, and social commentary. By tackling complex themes, Druckmann is seen as using video games as a medium to explore and express deep philosophical ideas. But what exactly are these complex ideas? He questioned masculinity in games and ultimately proved to the industry that a gay teenage girl could be a protagonist in a genre overrun with tired machismo. So, apparently, talking about masculinity and representation in video games makes a game developer a philosopher too, a seeker of truth. I do not think that Neil Druckmann is a philosopher, he's just a sophist, a juggler of words. Why? Because, first of all, he leads a company that is more interested in redefining games, whatever that means, rather than creating something new. The releases of Naughty Dog are so infrequent. We got The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Remastered, The Last of Us Remake Part 1, then The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, then Uncharted Remastered. My point is, for all the good quality stuff they do, it's a company that definitely seems to not be chasing big ideas or big projects, milking the old ones for maximum profit. It's difficult to say that redefining its own games is something crazy, groundbreaking, experimental, edgy, or cool. They are safe bets. So pursuing new ideas, which is the mark of a philosopher, is not something that suits Neil Druckmann. Secondly, he leads a company whose political narrative and economic intentions are very different. Economist Branko Milanovic writes that modern capitalist societies are built on a dichotomy. In the political space, decisions are and must be made on an equal basis, where everyone has the same say and the power structure is horizontal. In the economic space, power is held by the owners of capitals. Decisions are dictatorial and the power structure is hierarchical. In other words, woke capitalism involves this hierarchically controlled corporate power gaining undue influence over or even taking charge of political issues that affect everyone. Supporting only the people or institutions with which you agree and trying to silence others is the main road to authoritarianism. In a democracy, this is not so much the problem. The real problem arises when individuals with private financial interests leverage their position and power to shape the public agenda, driven primarily by profit rather than the common good. This appears to be the case with The Last of Us Part 2, where Naughty Dog seemingly aimed to boost its popularity among a new generation of consumers by challenging traditional notions of masculinity and introducing a lesbian protagonist. This reflects the true nature of a sophist, influencing through rhetoric where appearance and controversy take precedence over genuine substance. The company's progressive political agenda starkly contrasts with its treatment of employees. While Neil Druckmann boasts about AI reducing costs, revolutionizing development, and pushing storytelling boundaries, these claims ring hollow. He even acknowledges that ethical issues must be addressed and that AI isn't practical anytime soon. Meanwhile, employees are leaving Naughty Dog in droves due to being forced to work hundreds of hours each week. Instead of hiring additional staff, the company simply increases the workload, leaving employees with no time for their families or personal lives. In other words, there is a strong inconsistency between the company's outward political stance and its internal practices. Consider this. One former employee stated, "I left because I only want to work with the best." That is no longer Naughty Dog. The company's reputation for crunching is so bad that it became nearly impossible to hire experienced contract game animators. Instead, they brought in film animators who, despite being talented, lacked the technical skills needed for the game design. The design team also ballooned with juniors to fill the gaps left by departing staff, leading to significant delays in game production. Numerous on-record leaks suggest that Neil Druckmann severely overworks his employees. Druckmann's obsession with standing out often harms the work environment at Naughty Dog. He's trying so hard to be the Western Hideo Kojima, reviving old franchises like Jak and Daxter, while still desperately seeking Hollywood recognition. The truth is, Druckmann is a company owner focused on maximizing profit and using political narratives to gain approval. He's not interested in selling tens of millions of copies of his games. He wants a universal acclaim, and that's not going to happen if he continues to make controversial games that alienate fans by killing the main character everyone loves. Neil Druckmann once said, "Can't understand how people get so worked up and upset about fictional characters." This statement is baffling, coming from a game creator. Modern games immerse players in characters' lives, making them feel and connect deeply. If we were creating a simple game like Pong, questioning why anyone would care about the sticks might make sense, but Druckmann crafted a story about a lonely, sorrowful character who, after losing his daughter, becomes a father again. That's why I loved the first game. Yet suddenly he dismisses the emotional connections players form with these characters by saying, "It's a game. Why do you care about fictional characters?" A producer should never make such a comment, especially one who aims to create drama or movies. Some people agree with him, claiming he's right, but it's perplexing. He treated gamers like idiots, despite being a storyteller. Why they're siding with Neil, I can't understand. Any good game maker wants to engross you with their characters, but it seems Druckmann just wants to push agendas. The main one being righting all the wrongs when he was corrected for the first game by his superiors. He couldn't stand being told his story was crap, so he just regurgitated it for the second one when he had more control. That's why he's so defensive about it. He's already been told it's bad before. It's ironic coming from a man who was so worked up about his scrapped plot points from the first game that he repeatedly talked about his difficulty letting go of them in interviews and ultimately brought them all back in part 2, with none of their flaws actually addressed. You'd think he, of all people, would empathize with and understand why people get strongly attached to fictional concepts. In essence, Neil Druckmann is a politician, a company owner, and a sophist, but not a philosopher. He is more interested in the appearance of innovation and using provocative themes to generate buzz rather than truly seeking the essence of creativity and truth in his work. He is like a pastry chef who knows how to titillate your palate and give pleasure to your taste. Sophists don't seek the truth, they bend the words to generate consensus. The famous figure of Gorgias, to whom Plato dedicates a dialogue, tried to demonstrate even the most absurd theses, such as Helen's innocence in the Trojan War, as well as the most literally unprovable claims. The sophist is not moved by the search of truth. He simply uses words as tools to generate consensus. Socrates, on the other hand, believes in dialogue and words as tools for revealing the truth, and for this he was sentenced to death. This is the true mark of the philosopher. So what do you think about Neil Druckmann? What do you think about Naughty Dog? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or subscribe and see what's coming up next. I promise that whatever I do from now on, I will do it with my own voice and I will do my best.